Hello, everybody. Welcome. Actually, I'm going to wait again because I've learned my lesson, you know, from having so many audio issues over the past couple of weeks to go back to basics and make sure that when I start my streams, um, I have some sort of monitoring up. So these days, I've been using my phone. Um, from having so many audio issues over the past couple of weeks to go back to basics and make sure that there's a little bit of background audio, but I think that's just the there's a fan right on top of it. Um, am I just gonna burn and turn the fan off? I'm gonna ask Bianca. 1 second. Okay, should be better now. And this is why I checked. So I'm gonna give it like 10 more seconds until my monitoring catches up with the stream. Trying to make sure that these videos can at least start getting or continue being helpful. Okay, should be better now. And this is why I checked. So okay, yeah, much better. So hello everybody. Welcome to Smoothie with Chloe in the morning. I think I still call it Coffee with Chloe, but either way, I have not been drinking coffee these days, and I obviously can't spell still, which is consistent, which is good. So I just Googled Near Digital Collective. So for the if people are like, hey, I don't know what Near Digital Collective is, I don't know what Near is. I guess we're gonna dig into a lot of different things today. But if you don't know who I am, I should probably start with that. So I'm Chloe Lewis, co-founder of the Marmaj Foundation. Marmaj Foundation, we try and leverage Web3 tech for social good. Sender wallets popping up, but we have guides and all these different things, which honestly just try and support the community. For research purposes mainly, honestly, and for just support distribution purposes, we have a token. Mainly just educate our community about how tokens work, to distribute support to community members, and so forth. And really just to kind of support the Marmaj and Near community. So in that, today I want to speak about the Near Digital Collective, which is a new, I guess, ecosystem that's forming to also support the Near ecosystem. Oh gosh, it's so convoluted. Maybe I should just dig in, and hopefully just reading the post on the Near governance forum will kind of give us some information. So this was the official post in the Near forum under the ecosystem category in the NDC subcategory, going over the NDC. So, the formation of community working group on Near ecosystem governance. Following Near co-founder Ilya's talk on ecosystem governance at ECC here, you can click this. Oh my gosh, we're going to duplicate. I don't like when they don't open a new tab. It's a great video. It goes over kind of everything you need to know about the NDC, at least for now, and where we're starting from, and then what like the grandiose vision is of how this might support the Near ecosystem. But where we're at now is kind of stated further in this document. So we are creating a new framework and implementation plan for an ecosystem-wide self-governance structure and treasury called the Near Digital Collective. So basically, funds are going to be distributed to the NDC, and then the NDC will be charged with distributing these funds to the Near community, to the Near ecosystem. And so basically the Near Digital Collective serves as this like organization, or this structure, I guess, more than an organization, which I like that actually. It's just like a governance structure that helps to distribute funding and support the ecosystem. And it can be more than just funding, I guess, but the main point is the treasury. So a community working group is now forming to take the next steps to implement the NDC. We want the community to lead and shape this process. So basically the community is coming forward to create this governance structure that's going to help distribute the treasury to support the Near ecosystem. A lot of stuff. So every voice matters, everyone get involved. Awesome. So that's kind of the messaging so far over the past 11 days, I guess, has been, we're trying to give more power to the community. Everyone come get involved. And we kind of have this, high level vision, and we want the community to kind of shape the low level details. And so there's these 5 working groups that currently exist: the Near Constitution, governance framework, and proposal process, technical governance and development plan, legal framework, and community engagement guidelines. Further in this kind of stream, I'm just going to call them like the Constitution, governance, technical, legal, and community engagement. And then we're going to be specifically I'm going to be specifically highlighting the community engagement guidelines. So standards to encourage positive, sustainable community behavior and interaction consistent with the values of the Near Constitution. So obviously for part 5, the community engagement guidelines, a lot of that can't even be built out until there is a Near Constitution. And so, coming back to that, more deeply, is the creation, ratification of shared values and basic rights for all community members, the Near ecosystem's North Star. So again, these are very vague, right? And so in my opinion, again, the Constitution is going to be very vague. And, the community engagement guidelines also, in my opinion, will be very vague in a sense. But it'll also, need to be specific enough for, how, in my opinion at least, how is the community actually going to engage in a tangible way. So like in a tangible way, what is going to make it so that when the community engages with the NDC, the values of the Near Constitution are upheld. So this is the proposal, the original proposal, signed by lots of, Pagoda, Near UA, Near Foundation, a lot of the spin-outs from the Near Foundation, Aurora, different shards, on Near, different, Astro DAO, Near Office of the Co-Founders, right? That's a new kind of project. Okay. And so, you see people kind of commenting and a lot of, what's your experience in the Near community, right? Like asking Near comms. And so people kind of giving a lot of people being upset or kind of, some people are saying this is awesome. A lot of back and forth, some positive and constructive, and some not so positive. And so I think this is a lot of time people were actually watching this video. And so if this was the first time that people were watching this video from Ilya, then I can understand why, some people might be a bit shocked at some of the stuff that was outlined, here, having like a working group and everything else. If you have watched this video, so honestly, if anyone, Monish, hey, So I think honestly the first thing is just watching this video and seeing kind of like how it's all meant to be, and work out in the community. And then kind of, I think honestly reading the community's feedback is quite important, because you can see kind of where some of the inconsistencies are with the community's understanding. People are kind of voting here on this thread. In my opinion, and there's one of my comments. In my opinion, people aren't really understanding the process or the purpose of what's happening, or what's supposed to be happening in the future. Yeah, like you could see it's continuous. Like this is a day ago, and so like, yeah, I haven't even read through all of this yet. A lot of this is new. People just there's so much contention and back and forth, and a lot, honestly, in my opinion, a lot of it just arguing. But it is very great to see so much community activity, and I think that is the positive. The fact that a lot of people are here trying to engage, and I think that kind of just brings us back to maybe it's not the healthiest engagement. We're kind of like a family coming together for a family reunion, trying to figure out what are the best ways to communicate with each other potentially. And this kind of comes back to like what are these guidelines for communication? And so in my opinion, one of the first guidelines, just to kind of off the bat, is that I think that mixing in a lot of what's happening on the current NEAR forum with what's happening with NDC specifically is going to confuse people. So the fact that some people have been on the NEAR forum for years, right? And some people just came in last week because they just heard about the NDC, but they might have been in the NEAR ecosystem for a while, doing various things. Like, for example, some people might have been involved in Aurora. Some people might have been involved in, Calamaro as a developer. Some people might be involved in, Octopus Network. Who knows where people might be involved in the NEAR ecosystem, which is very, very vast. But potentially, they weren't specifically involved in this specific NEAR governance forum, per se. And so I think one of the first, orders of business or flows would be, the NDC having its own forum. Where it was able to self-organize, where everyone was able to kind of start off with a clean slate that was kind of outside of the NEAR Foundation. I mean, this NDC is supposed to be its own organization, just like Aurora or these other kind of platforms that do have their own forums. And so in my opinion, it would make sense, for example, for NDC to have its own forum. And then kind of working through these standards. Since we are kind of building in the NEAR ecosystem, I think it would make sense to build upon some of the NEAR-based standards that are going to get built out, for example, in the technical governance plan and all that type of stuff, which we can go through as well. But I think the idea is then to, like, if, for example, people, like this little login button right here that I click for the NEAR forum, it'll say, login with GitHub, email, username, all that fun stuff. I'm not saying that logging with NEAR is the most secure. I'm not saying, I know some people will come and say, Web3 login is unsafe or whatever. That is fine. People can make, again, brand new accounts for this brand new forum specifically to interact with the NDC and start earning reputation and start building up, what they're doing within the NDC. So the idea would be, logging with NEAR to this NDC forum, which would allow people to then, therefore, yes, you could bring in what you're doing previously, with, where you'd have your stats gallery profile showcasing what your stats. So for those that don't know what stats gallery is, I don't want to sit here talking about some random thing when I'm not showing it either. So if you type in your NEAR account here. So when you're talking about reputation, for example, or on-chain reputation, it might take a while to load, to be fair. Let's see. Usually it works, we'll be fair. It is always fun when things break live. But It's showing the balance correctly, though, at least. So I think it will load eventually. Maybe I'll just come back to it. Um, yeah, takes a while to query things at times. But anyways, the idea is we could, people could start forming some sort of on-chain reputation, and that would hopefully lead to, and then more, again, this whole idea of sustainable community behavior. I think that is where, in my opinion, I start thinking of people not just interacting with the forum for like a weekend because they want to. I mean, okay, a lot of this, for example, like kind of a lot of some of the stuff here is people who probably are not necessarily active consistently in this community. And there's not much buy-in or weight to have to kind of interact. Whereas if certain interactions, for example, voting was done on chain, they'd have to have some sort of like, on-chain interactions in order to kind of post or put something up. So I think that's, there's certain phases in that. And like, on a Munish, we've talked about kind of what those phases might be in terms of like milestones for setting, like actually enacting. So there's the framework of guidelines, which in my opinion would be something that, is kind of just like, okay, according to the Constitution, the near community members should, all be, communicating publicly on an open forum, probably on a forum of its own. So maybe a new forum could get opened. And then, there should just, not be rude or vulgar or, whatever else. And there'd be some sort of like maybe, terms and conditions, and like, if you do certain things, you get kicked out of the forum, and the forum is the main open source of like communication and truth for the NDC. Fine. But then, beyond that, the actual enacting of that plan, in my opinion, would come with like, could be enacted in a certain way, which, I will go through. I guess I can go through it now, then go through the rest of it after. So in my opinion, like, there'd be certain like just efficient milestones, I guess, to be hit. Where again, the first one just being the NDC would have its own forum. So when you go to Ref Finance and you go to, where is their stuff? Is it in? Wow. They don't have it on there. They don't try and show it to you anymore, eh? Ref. Okay, it's on the homepage. Never mind. So Ref has their forum, for example. If you go to Aurora, they will have their own forum as well. I'm not even sure where there is. There it is. Discussion forum.aurora.dev. And they all kind of have their own different way of working. Aurora Community, Uncategorized, Fast Grants, Aurora DAO. Ref is more focused on like some like farming, for example. So like there's less farms, tokens, and it's built out a bit different with less kind of certain structures. So the NDC, to encourage sustainable, and effective discourse, would have to have control of its own, open forum, in my opinion, at like the beginning, like high level, and then to build in reputation and some sort of buy-in, as well with like sustainable behavior also probably comes with not only reputation but incentives, and so to build all of that in an efficient way that holds true to the NEAR Constitution, which I hope would also include like building on NEAR in efficient and useful ways and showcasing values and whatever. I would hope that we'd also like have on-chain interaction through the forum, and so again, if people were able to log in with their NEAR wallets to the forum, they could start showing how often they were actually communicating with people, and how often they were actually voting on things, and how often they were actually interacting with, and we can collaborate with Calamero, and we can maybe keep some parts of it private with a private shard on NEAR, whatever. Again, these are milestones, right, that would have to be hit over time. But then after your login, in my opinion, would actually be integration with Astro DAO. So, right now you have Astro DAO, you have to go to the actual platform, you connect your wallet, you log in. There's all these steps that a new user comes here, they're like, oh my gosh, I gotta do this again. But if people are already logging in to the NDC forum daily to interact and communicate with their community members and request funding and give feedback, then they should be able to vote directly through that application as well. And then they wouldn't actually need to go to the actual Astro platform and then worry about taking out their private key again and doing something wrong and finding a new wallet. So in my opinion, the part of community engagement that adheres to the values of the New York Constitution is giving the community a safe, efficient. Oops, that's my bad. Giving the community a safe and efficient platform with which to engage with the NDC. In my opinion, that's like step one. People will get. There's also a marketing. So if I haven't joined the NDC on here yet. On the marmaj DAO account. So I'm actually going to do that now, which would be fun, because I think things have oh no, this is not even how you do it anymore. See? Things have changed so much. So let's do it. Let's say we were actually looking for this. Where's the actual stuff now? Because there was a Telegram group, right? And then there you go. Blaze. See, this is why I think Blaze should be president of the NDC. Because as a new user, there's no way I would have found this initially. There was no update to this random thing that was posted officially with anything new. Like, oh, update this, update that. Never mind. I'm going to move on. But when I scrolled down very quickly, I was like, oh, there you go. Discord. I was able to pop in. Very helpful. I don't really care who's president, to be fair, though. I don't think it matters that much. Do I have to verify? I guess I could verify. Complete. Okay, I do agree. I didn't read the rules, but I agree to them. I will admit I did not read them. I do not think rules should have that many words. I cannot and will not read them. That is very stressful. Please go to something and choose. Oh, I clicked the button. Yeah, I dislike Discord verification quite a bit. It worked. It said it failed, but it worked. Roles. So please go to choose working group. Choose community. Okay. And then community. Okay. Here we are. Code of conduct. See, here you go. Exactly. As I said. Terms and conditions or whatever, whatever. Dispute resolution process. Yeah, code of conduct. Exactly. So this is what the first steps are for what would be happening. But look, as you can see, there's not much action happening on any of this. So that is another part of this, is that clearly there's some next steps which could happen. For example, in my opinion, we have a hackathon coming up at NearCon, and this is some of the stuff that just should be part of a hackathon, where these are supposed to be a timeline with dates and milestones on these by Thursday. I think dates and milestones on these is not that difficult. It just takes. Oops. Have I had my audio on that whole time? I am sorry if that's been looping that whole time. It probably has been. That's terrible. That is not good. I'm actually going to listen to it and see if it's that bad. It might take a while to load. Oh, no. To be fair. You can't hear anything. You can't tell. We good. Okay. I was just making sure. Monish would have told me, I guess. Yeah, it's fine. Thank you. Yeah, I know. Monish would have told me. I'm fine. So yeah, as you can see, there's some, top priorities that can clearly be done. I think dates and milestones for these is quite straightforward in my opinion. It would just take again like a week for. I mean, they could all be done in tandem. To be fair, I think that the what's it called near constitution would have to be outlined. Thank you, Monish. Really appreciate it. I think that the near constitution would have to be like formalized before any of these were formalized, but they could all be worked on at the same time as the constitution was being worked on, and that's kind of why I think, in general, in this choose working group section. I mean, on my Chloe Discord account, I'm on all of them. Not marketing, to be fair. But okay, so not legal as well. But technical, governance, constitution. Wait, what? Why is there two? Oh my gosh, there's two laptops. Anyways, because we're gonna have to be listening in to what's happening on the Constitution, for example, to understand where the development is to figure out these. As these got developed, again, I think that's where the future milestones would come in. Okay, so yeah, once we have terms and conditions, dispute resolution process, code of conduct. Well, a lot of that's hopefully going to be built on chain, right? Where if you have been with the community for a long time and you have a lot of reputation built up, well, then maybe the dispute resolution process, could look differently. For example, maybe there's parts of that in the terms and conditions, for example. General code of conduct is probably just like, copy pasta from any, I don't know, like, don't be mean, or else you'll have to deal with dispute resolutions. And, you already signed up to it in the terms of conditions. It's all like the same thing, to be honest. So they're worked on in tandem, in my opinion. And that's why I'm saying, like, timelines for dates and milestones is not that difficult, because it's kind of just like, okay, well, we can work on these right now and have them pretty much done in 2 weeks. But you need at least another week after the Constitution was done to actually go back and make sure that, again, there's a code of conduct that people have to adhere to, that actually adheres to what they've signed up to in the terms of conditions. And if they don't, adhere to that code of conduct, what actually happens? And, before you have on-chain reputation, how do you deal with it just with the forum, for example? Without all this fancy, mumbo jumbo built on chain, how do you actually deal with someone who's, in my opinion, we see it right here. How do you deal with a lot of this? The back and forth, people, arguing, potentially not positive discussion, and I think a lot of that's just about, honestly, how do you build an efficient forum? Because I think one of the biggest problems is that, if we kind of go back a step, we didn't really kind of I didn't really do a good job of showing the near forum, but this is the near forum where someone coming into the NDC for the first time honestly sees all of this, and they have to kind of scroll down and find ecosystem, and then from ecosystem, even if you click ecosystem itself, you see all of this, right? And so someone that's even new to near ecosystem, they had this link for near ecosystem that they went to. They're gonna see all of this funding and road mapping and projects and just a lot networking, Twitter. It's honestly, in my opinion, quite overwhelming. And potentially it's good where you have a place where everything is involved, and I think that there could still be a place here for NDC to post updates, more of an official kind of NDC spot where, again, the NDC team could come and post formal updates for the near community to get in the near forum. But if the NDC had its own forum, then it could have all of its own categories, all of its own sections, and then it would be able to then have a more efficient way of enacting some sort of, punishment, I don't know, punishment, but just measures. It's not really a punishment. It's just, okay, you signed up to not be a butthead, and you're being a butthead, and so this is what happens when you're a butthead. Honestly, it's not that big of a deal. In the beginning, of course, someone can just make a new account, But what kind of, I mean, on the forum, you can create pretty efficient reputation systems where, you create levels the more you interact and the more you heart things and respond. And you can kind of create an ecosystem where, if someone loses access or even just drops down a level, for example, not even kicking someone out, but if someone's like being a butt a couple times and you just drop them from level 4 to level 3 and they can't post videos anymore, they can only post pictures, that could be like when you're ingrained in a community, that can be an efficient deterrent. But again, without having, that much control over the ecosystem, then there's no way to even start, in my opinion. So I mean, we can, so in terms of, where's Discord again? In terms of, timelines and dates and milestones, these can be written out. Like we can write them out and say, okay, this is what would happen. We can go to NearCon and party, and we can workshop and hack on what this would look like. We can see the Constitution, but then actually enacting it, actually building out the timelines after it would probably require a team that's efficient in running a forum. Probably will require a team to then a lot of these pieces exist in the Near ecosystem. So Near Learn Club. Let's see if I can find it. Near Learn Club, Near Forum Testnet login. I think the first one. Login. Oh, they took it down. Okay, I don't think it's up anymore. This isn't it. Okay, let's see. No, I'm not going to look for that long, but it does exist. And Sasha, I'm assuming, is going to be at NearCon, so it seems much more efficient to just speak to him at NearCon about it. But the integration existed for testnet. It wasn't fully developed or built out because there wasn't full dev support or funding for it. But in my opinion, that's one of the pieces that would make this whole flow more efficient, where, again, you log into the forum with your Near wallet. You're able to then, build out off-chain and on-chain dispute resolution. So, for example, at the beginning, you're going to have a centralized group of people who are efficient at running the forum to, drop people down levels and understand how that's all built out and all of that. But eventually, hopefully, this can be decentralized. And that's the whole point of all of this, right? Is that it's not just a centralized group of people running a forum. So then how do you make the forum, organized in a decentralized way? Hopefully you have a DAO on Astro DAO, for example, where, if members on the forum who actually logged in were actually members on this DAO, going up different categories and levels, maybe based on how much tokens were deposited for them, based on different actions they took. And these could be, tokens that could be delegated from the DAO to these people. This is a bit complicated because actually I can show testnet.astrodao. Is it com? Ugh. It's actually, they put the button testnet.app.astro.com. Okay. Oh gosh. Which one are we using? Sure. Okay. Okay. Let's do it. Okay, so this is mainnet. That's all right. I just want to show my DAOs. Create one. I don't want to go through all of this. Nope. And I'm logged into Stake Shardnet right now. So eventually, I've done a video on it previously about Astro DAO, token weighted voting on testnet, and how the actual, the actual dispute resolution DAO, where is it? So yeah, this dispute resolution DAO could actually like it wouldn't be called that, right? There'd just be like reputation DAO, and the reputation DAO would delegate tokens to like members of the DAO as they completed like supportive actions in the community. And so you'd like move up in tiers in the community just by interacting with the protocol. Like you wouldn't have to actually do anything, right? Because the protocol would automatically have these votes and just vote to give out the next delegation rewards to people who are already on-chain members. And being an on-chain member would just be using the forum. Again, we've already discussed that. You wouldn't have to go to a different application and request to be part of the DAO. You would request to be part of the DAO on the NDC forum. And so you'd be logged in and you'd just request to be part of the DAO, and it'd be like, yes, you're part of the DAO, because you'd probably have like just token weighted, and probably not based on fungible tokens, like based on NFTs or something like that. But anyways, I digress. Point being, I need to close this page. It keeps making me think it's Discord. This dispute resolution process would be a DAO then, that would, run a lot of kind of how the forum was managed and organized as well. So, in this, there would hopefully be, how is the forum funded? So, I think terms and conditions is pretty straightforward. Eventually, you're not just signing this as a forum member, but you'd actually be signing this on chain. And that would probably be, for example, how you'd get your NFT. That would make you a member of the community, which would then be, again, it wouldn't be, I don't like this whole like wording of it, but like reputation process maybe would be the wording of it, where like this is how you gain and lose reputation in the community and what kind of comes with that, both off chain and then on chain. And then again, the code of conduct is just, again, what actually does it mean to adhere to the Constitution? So again, that's why I think it starts with code of conduct, actually. That's why I kind of always started from that. Because you kind of think like, okay, what should people be doing and not doing? And then what should they sign up to do if they actually want to? Because like, if people don't want to listen, maybe they should still be able to touch the outskirts of the community and still listen or engage in some ways, but maybe not have weight in the discussion as much as those who do want to adhere to the terms and conditions. And what does that mean? Adhering to terms and conditions in this sense might mean maybe not full anonymity, because using a near account is not fully anonymous. It's only like pseudo-anonymous. And so maybe in our terms and conditions, we're saying, you know what? We don't want fully anonymous actors to be able to fully sway the voice of things happening in the NDC. Only pseudonymous actors should be able to, interact in that type of a weighted way. And so that's why you'd have a lot of reputation built on chain, and that's why you'd have where you're saying, okay, you know what, you don't have to give us your real name and your real identity, you don't have to KYC with us to interact with the governance here, but you do have to have a near account, you do have to interact with some way on chain, so we can kind of dig into what you're doing. As for the other ones, again, I've going over these, I guess, more personally. Personally, I don't have much desire to engage with the marketing section. I feel as though the marmaj Foundation has a lot of marketing, I guess, for lack of a better word, chops. But I think that even supporting in other areas like the community engagement would require a lot of marketing support as well. Legal, I think legal is somewhat interesting, and I think that I'm very interested to see how the NDC decides to steer things in the legal area, but I don't think I have necessarily an expertise there. I think AVB used to do the law stuff. I think he really loves digging into what's happening and what the reasoning, and I think there's actually like Fritz as well has dug in quite a bit. For me, I'm actually most interested in the technical governance development plan, and reading it out, like the on-chain practical implementation of the governance framework. I really want to see how this stuff gets built out. And so I think, again, a lot of the community engagement guidelines, building the forum into the DAO and all of that will obviously have to work very closely with technical government's development plan and how that actually looks on like the contract level, and with with the Sputnik DAO contracts, are other contracts needed for reputation gain and stuff like that. The governance framework and proposal process seems very interesting in the sense that like we don't have, I guess, that many DAOs in the near ecosystem that are going through that many proposals at a very like high level of importance, I guess. There's a few like Ref DAO and Aurora DAO, I think, is starting to get into that as well. But most DAOs are community DAOs, kind of like just interacting with, tens of thousands of dollars of funding, not, with the NDC potentially millions of dollars of funding. And then the Constitution, I think I'm very interested to see what comes out of it. I think that there are people better suited than me to at least talk about near ecosystems North Star. Whatever that North Star comes out as being, I would, love to help support, how it's adhered to. But personally, I don't think that I'm, qualified to be sitting there saying what the North Star should be. That's kind of at least how I see like all the working groups forming out so far. I guess I have the most to say about the community engagement guidelines because, I've been involved in the near community for a while, and in my opinion, engagement and adoption kind of go hand in hand. And so I think as you engage people, they feel like they're able to adopt the technology, or they're able to adopt what the ecosystem or what's happening. And so, as we engage the community in an efficient way, as people feel safe engaging with the NDC, potentially that would create a more vibrant and near ecosystem. And I guess at the end of the day, that's what the marmaj DAO is all about. So, I mean, regardless of the marmaj's direct involvement with the NDC, the marmaj DAO already kind of focuses on adoption. First and foremost, in the sense of, we try and ensure that everyone and anyone feels comfortable and safe being able to understand and interact with Web3 technologies so that they can learn to, leverage them for Web3, for social good. But yeah, hopefully that like overview at least makes sense for myself and Monish. Ernest, as you have to cut it up, hopefully, I didn't, go through too. I actually want to see if this still isn't working. Silly. So this is what I'm saying. Like, project have to build out more. This, it's great. I'm not trying to, I don't know. Some stuff is showing, I guess. I don't know. Kind of wanted it to show properly, but this has been out for quite a while, over a year, I think, maybe. Pretty cool application, but not always displaying all the information. Okay, week, year. It doesn't want to show the level. Anyways. That's about all for me for this. I've been having... So again, go through this video. This video, in my opinion, will explain, honestly, most of what you need to know about the high-level vision of what the NDC is trying to do. Pretty much trying to ensure that there's efficient support for the near ecosystem for years and years to come. And so the work that we're doing now is not really meant to be this forever structure, and I think this, these milestones by Thursday, kind of shows that, where these are meant to be like living documents of like, for now, like, what would be the general code of conduct. And in my opinion, it kind of starts from, you'd get onto you would have a new forum as like, step number one. But the code of conduct would be that, on this forum, we would, there have to be some like basic things like, you know, I don't know, certain types of profile pictures, certain types of language, certain types of whatever. I'm sure there was a bunch of things to copy pasta from other ecosystems that would go there. But the idea would be, you know, and then how do we have people actually sign up for these? Again, with this new forum, you could actually have your own terms and conditions that people can just easily, you know, as you sign up for the forum, please sign up for these certain terms and conditions. And this is kind of our code of conduct. And then dispute resolution, I think, is going to be the hardest part, though, because this is what's going to come in milestones and phases. Again, I don't think it's called dispute resolution. I think it's called more of like a reputation process. And that's where we're talking about, okay, well, you know, someone just comes in, they sign this TOC, adhering to the, you know, code of conduct. We're all starting at level 0, right? And how do you actually, you know, on the forum, on the back end, it's pretty simple. Like you just go through levels and, you know, the longer you're there and the more you interact, the more you get levels and the more you can do. But like that requires like a whole build out. Like, I don't know, like, I don't know, saying it like that and making it sound that straightforward, you know, is not. So that, I mean, that could take a whole 6 months of building out, or you can kind of throw it together in a weekend. And that's kind of where I think this is kind of where the basics could happen at NearCon, like where you just throw it together in a weekend. And then, so that would be like the timelines. And then milestones would actually be showing, okay, you know what? The actual milestones for this like reputation process might take like a couple of years to build out. But here's how we start with our own forum, with, you know, off-chain reputation with levels on the forum and kind of, you know, people going up and dropping down levels. And they know if you're level 0 and you continue to do something, then you get kicked out. And, you know, what are some of the procedures for if you get kicked out? Like, you know, if you try and scam people or, you know, spam people. If you spam people, maybe you go to level 0. But if you scam people, maybe you get kicked out, right? It's like, what are the levels that are, like, where's the line between scam and spam, potentially? Stuff like that. And then how does that eventually move from, okay, some centralized group of people managing a backend to a decentralized process that kind of manages reputation in an ecosystem. And so I think there's a lot there that just obviously can't be done even just with one working group. The technical working group obviously would have to build out this reputation or what gets built, you know, the voting and how all that works. The Constitution would have to actually decide what's the most important, and we haven't even gotten there yet. So a lot of what I'm saying here is just kind of air out my butt, to be fair, until the Constitution gets drafted. And so that's why I'm saying, honestly, we can build a timeline and dates, but again, the timeline and dates would be, let's go to NearCon, let's hack on what the generals of these would be until we see the Constitution. After we see the Constitution, another week to finalize what these would be for now, and then kind of the milestones of what does the next year look like, potentially to 2 years of going from, you know, off-chain reputation on a forum to, you know, on-chain reputation using like Astro DAO and Near accounts and all that stuff. Maybe Calamaro for like, yeah. So that is it. I'm going to go eat lunch and rollerblade or something or do some other things, but